Hicks on Reagan.
The secret of life is to have no fear. We all have to understand that. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's sad sometimes. You ever realize that we live in a world where good men are murdered and mediocre hacks thrive? You ever notice that? John Kennedy murdered, Gandhi murdered, Martin Luther King murdered, Jesus murdered, Reagan wounded. Cancer 8 times. No, that fucker still walks, doesn't he? That guy is Jason, man. You take off that hockey mask just once, you're gonna find, well, I'm back. People love him. Love him. Every fact points that he's a liar, corporate puppet, devil, cock-sucking fascist. Every fact points to that. Not one fact to the opposite. But what happens? We love you, Rolling. Let's put him on Mount Rushmore. Let's put him under Mount Rushmore. They love it. How far up your ass does this guy's dick have to be before you realize he's fucking you, man? People are just, I like him. I don't know what it is. He looks good on TV. He brought back patriotism. God damn it, he's a good American. Hold it, something's slapping my ass. Oh my God, he's fucking us! Well, nasty and I feel. Man, you might know as John Wayne once told me. Man, you might remember Jimmy Stewart. Well, shut the fuck up. You answer a question like a man, you fucking lying actor. Take me, Mr. President, sir. With all due respect.
So where'd I get that beat? Well, going back to hip hop. DJ Premier, I think that's where I got a lot of these beats. So that was Mos Def, Raucous Records, the son of Rupert Murdoch. Wouldn't have that without him. Or maybe these guys would have been signed by someone else and he was just a jackal. But Mos Def, Fear Not Man. Here, let's play this and see if it comes out.
You want to know what $182 billion looks like?
No, I don't.
Warren Buffett, CEO and founder.
You hear this
of
guy?
Berkshire Hathaway.
This is an
He's worth
advertisement.
$86 billion.
This is what the values of our
Bill
culture
Gates,
is.
Founder of Microsoft.
Who is this guy?
He's worth $96 billion. Add Warren Buffett and Bill Gates together, and you get $182 billion. How?
So
I was fascinated
4
by
minutes
this. I wanted
and
to
40.
research this and really just lock myself in a room and figure out.
Let's listen to this
how.
guy.
In my research, I found something fascinating. I found that Warren Buffett and Bill Gates have been friends since a young age. I actually came across a video of them, an encounter they had when they first met.
Shortly after I met Bill Gates, Bill's dad asked each of us to write down on a piece of paper one word that would best describe what had helped us the most. Bill and I, without any collaboration or all, each wrote the word focus.
If you want to achieve anything in your life, you have to learn to focus, and the way you do that is through elimination of distraction. So let me show you the things that you're going to have to give up.
This guy has a fireplace in the background of his commercial. But anyways. We're going to listen to the whole commercial. Sam Ovens. Oh, because he's Sam Ovens. And he has... Oh, no, that doesn't make sense. Sam Fireplace. All right. What do you say?
Go. Facebook.
Oh, he's burning stuff. He just burnt the Facebook
Get
picture.
rid of it. Instagram.
Instagram. Get rid of Cinegram.
Even YouTube.
YouTube. Get rid of it. How do we find you then? That's a paradox.
God forbid if you're playing any sort of video
Twitch.
game, hanging out on this thing. Netflix.
Netflix.
Sorry.
He's burning all these papers. Wow.
Fortnite. Come on, what are you, 4 years old? Your iPhone with 400 apps on it and 600 notifications. It's gotta go. What about having beers and hanging out with your friends on the weekends? Gotta go.
Can't have friends? Wow. So this is interesting. Fire.
You've got to be willing to throw some things on the fire. You've got to be willing to sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
You'll find
Those are your
that All of
values.
that energy that you used to assign to those things is now free and available to assign to your main goal. The more things you sacrifice and throw on the fire, the more you'll find that you're able to focus. And like I said, focus is the secret weapon of billionaires, and it is the thing that you can use to get whatever you want in life. Now, right now, I'm holding a free training that shows
There he
how to
goes.
focus. It shows you how to develop
2 minutes and a half
laser-like
in,
focus and get crystal
he
clear
did the ask.
on what it actually is that you want to do.
That's what we're all about.
And then actually get it.
Yeah.
So in this free
Pay me
training,
to
which
teach
you
you
can
how
get,
to
click
make
the
money.
button on the screen right now.
Click.
I'm going to show you three main things. The first one is how to pick a niche. And
This
how
guy's
to be a
reading. He didn't
specialist.
even memorize. You look at his eyes. He didn't even memorize his pitch. His eyes are focused on the screen.
Define your mountain, and then climb to the top of it.
He doesn't have
How to find
natural eye
one
contact with the
one
camera.
thing you care about.
A douchebag. Should have gotten a haircut too before he did this.
Second thing I'm
Or at
gonna
least he should have had a professional comb his hair. His hair. This is a very. He paid good money for this too. This costs a lot to be on YouTube and pop up on my YouTube.
Right now, you're not capable of achieving your goal. If you were, you would have it.
He has
So in this
www.consulting.com. That's an expensive.
The person who would obtain that goal with ease.
How to evolve and grow into the person who would obtain that goal with ease, and he just showed a monkey evolving into a human. There's some deep shit in here.
And the third thing I'm going to show you is how to take somebody from a complete stranger who's never heard of you before ever to a high-paying client with you, paying you money month after month recurring with one 45-minute phone call. And
So these are always so interesting because it's like, what are you selling? What are you teaching someone a skill or a trade? And a quick, well, gimmicks are like it's going to happen quickly. You don't have to worry about the skill or the trade or the industry, even though all of human history has been cobblers and blacksmiths and have a skill, have a trade. That's what we do. But for him, it's the money. Get you sucked in with the money, now you're emotionally invested. Oh, it's because you're fucking, I deserve that. Ego driven. And it's like, don't worry. And then just a quick fix. It's just 1:45, was it, second minute phone call? What was it?
script. I'm going to
A
show you
script.
the sales process I use, the funnel that I use to generate a
Why would I trust, this guy can't even sell himself.
I'm going to show you everything. I'm really just going to pull back the curtain and show you everything.
Pull back
that
the
I've done
curtain.
on my journey from 0 to 30 million a year.
30 million a
over the
year.
past 6 years in business.
With this is how you made 30 million a year. I could show you a fucking girl who's making 30 million a year as a prostitute. Well, I don't know 30 million, but yeah, 7 figures. There's a lot of different ways you can make money. There's people holding bags for other people making a lot of money doing it, but is it honorable? But no one cares about honor nowadays. Anyways, this is Most Def. There we go. What a douche. I should fucking... Shaz is coming out in the real world, and we're going to play with real people very soon. Oh, oh!
That was some real good.
We get it every time. You got me on? Shout out to all of my crew. East, west, north, south. On the continent, Europe. All abroad, international. There's a lot of things going on, y'all. 21st century is coming. 20th century almost done. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things have not. Mainly us. We gonna get it together, right? I believe that. Listen, people be asking me all the time, yo, Mons, what's gonna happen with hip-hop? I tell them, you know what's gonna happen with hip-hop, whatever's happening with us. If we smoked out, hip-hop is gonna be smoked out. If we doing alright, hip-hop is gonna be doing alright. People talk about hip-hop like it's some giant living in the hillside, coming down to visit the town of people. We are hip-hop. Me, you, everybody, we are hip-hop. So hip-hop is going where we going at. So the next time you ask yourself where hip-hop is going, ask yourself, where am I going? How am I doing? And you get a clear idea. So, if hip-hop is about the people, and the hip-hop will get better until the people get better, then how do people get better? Well, my understanding, people get better when they start to understand that they are valuable, and they're not valuable because they got a whole lot of money or because somebody think they're sexy, but they're valuable because they've been created by God. And God makes you valuable, and whether or not you recognize that value is one thing. You got a lot of societies and governments trying to be God, wishing that they were God. They want to create satellites and cameras everywhere, make you think they got the all-seeing eye. I guess the last course was too far when they said certain people got a God complex. I believe it's true. I don't get phased out by none of that. None of the helicopters, the TV screens, the newscasters, satellite dishes. They just wishing they can't never really do that. When they tell me the cameras are beans and newscasters.
Anyways, that's enough of that. What do we got? Fella. That's what it is. It's like, I wish more people justify the morality without dogma. I guess that's this year. This year I've been really going hard against monotheism, or not monotheism, but just religion in general. That's why I guess I think spirituality and faith is important, but Christians and Muslims and Jews, the ones who put names on stuff. I like the Eastern stuff that is like the way of the Tao is not in words. And that's some parts of Islam, if they didn't use the violence to promote it, but the idea of not representing God in an image is actually not just a violent idea. You should never defend your beliefs with violence, but that probably speaks more to the culture and the society. More violent people are oppressed and poor, and there's a reason why people are their tensions are elevated. But yeah, that original idea was in Judaism and Christianity too. You'll make images because that's ego, and then once you have images, you have reasons to exclude. And also, this is supposed to be the ineffable. Ineffable, the definition is unable to put into words. The same feeling you feel on a really heavy psychedelic experience. That feeling of unity among all beings, the spiritual, the part in our brain that everyone seems to have, whether you acknowledge it or not, at some parts in your life, birth and death, if nothing else, you'll feel that spiritual convergence with all of life. Don't gotta put labels though, because once you put labels, you say, well, it's green. Well, now fucking blue's not it, red's not it, and now green is holy. Now I'm wearing green, so now I'm holy. Now we got a green club. Now we got fucking, you know. So when he says like God, it's just kind of like my I love most stuff. That's my formative shit. But this year I had to edit that shit out of my head. But yeah, but no, everyone has blind spots. I have blind spots. I need correcting. I don't mind correcting other people. But Fela, who is Fela? First thing, and then also that's what I love about Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks didn't start like this. There's some documentaries about him. He just read a lot and he paid attention, and he always wanted to be a comedian. He's like Dave Chappelle. He was doing it since he was a teenager. He was sneaking into not sneaking in, but doing open mics at bars in Texas when he was 16, talking about his dad and shit, and he was good too. timing and his attitude. And I always wanted to, not always, but I thought when I was younger, that was one of the early careers I thought I would do, comedy. So I never really felt weird in front of people. I don't know. I think about that still. Maybe that's why with these videos, I'm like, well, I've always kind of known I was going to speak my piece. I think it was like first grade. There was like another class clown, and I was being the class clown, and I was like, you know what, I don't really want to be that dude. And so I can speak up or I can get attention, but I recognized, I guess, the fallacy of doing it all the time. I didn't always want to be on. My default was always kind of just chilling and quiet. Didn't want to stick my neck out like that. Well, it's like the ego thing. I think I was always sensitive to that. Reluctant leader. But when I speak up, I could say some shit, I think. Hopefully. Maybe I'm out of practice. Fela Anikulapo Kuti, the person that both me and Mos Def sampled. I sampled it because I heard it on Mos Def. Mos Def, even though I might not agree with putting religion or spirituality into words because it causes these arguments that then bog down the whole discussion. I like the irreverence of just saying fuck all religious talk. It is what it is. It is a paradox that you can, instead of investigating, just worship. And there's this beauty to the mystery that we're all born into, but we're all born into it without division. Pass up the same mountain. That being said, most taught me a lot. Hip hop, fucking. So, but he was taught a lot by Fela. Where did he get this shit? Well, he had good parents or he had good upbringing. He's a good 10, 15 years past me. So Fela, also professionally known as Fela Kuti or simply Fela, was a Nigerian multi-instrumentalist, musician, composer, pioneer of the Afrobeat music genre, and human rights activist. He has been called a superstar, singer, musician, Pan-Africanist, polygamist, mystic, legend. At the height of his popularity, he was referred to as one of Africa's most challenging and charismatic music performers. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. After Fela and his band returned to Nigeria, the group was renamed the Africa 70. Blah, blah, blah. He made the decision to sing in Pidgin English so that his music could be enjoyed by individuals all over Africa, where the local languages spoke a very diverse English. Diverse and numerous. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Fela, in 1977, Fela and the Africa 70 released the album Zombie, a scathing attack on Nigerian soldiers using the zombie metaphor. I've spoken about zombies, see this culture stuff, to describe the methods of the Nigerian military. The album was a smash hit. Counterculture infuriated the government, setting off a vicious attack against the Kalakuta Republic, during which 1,000 soldiers attacked the commune. Fela was severely beaten, and his elderly mother, whose house was located opposite the commune, was thrown from a window, causing fatal injuries. They killed his mom. The Kalakuta Republic was burned, and Fela's studio instruments and master tapes were destroyed. Fela claimed that he would have been killed had it not been for the intervention of a commanding officer as he was beaten. Fela's response to the attack was to deliver his mother's coffin to the Dodan barracks in Lagos and to write 2 songs, Coffin for Head of State and Unknown Soldier. The official inquiry claimed that the commune had been destroyed by an unknown soldier. They killed his mom. That's fucked up. Fela married 27 women, many of whom were his dancers, composers, and singers. It was to protect Fela, his wives, from false claims of the authorities that he was kidnapping women. Later, he was to adopt a rotation system of keeping 12 simultaneous wives. That's what I like, big spirits. Fuck it. You want one woman? He's got 27. You got one life. Why not? You got that much energy? I lived with 2 girls. I was having sex with one. I kind of thought about it. If I had more money, they said they'd date me. I mean, we're joking. I was like, would y'all both date me? And they're like, well, shit, I don't know. It depends on if you could take us both out. But no, I was on my grind. And one of them was that Addie girl. We never crossed that bridge. There's no reason to cross it. And it was a good balance. We needed, the girls could hang out, but that's what I mean. Like, I was hooking up with the dancer. Addie was there. The girls could have fun. sometimes those multiple women relationships, I could see how they would work because the girls can keep each other company, especially with like an artist or something. You're on your grind. When you're being manic in your creation mode, you don't have the time or energy. And some women need a lot of time and energy. And if they have a buddy system or partners, I put them up in my bedroom. I didn't sleep with them in the bedroom. Try to be respectful. Never disrespected Addie like that. There's no reason to start. That's why we trust each other to a certain extent. You start to respect your female friendships. It'd be a high bar to set. There'd have to be a real good reason for us to cross that bridge now. Self-control. I should have more self-control. Also, I might just be sampling. Maybe I just want more superficial things right now. I don't think so, though, because I had the chance for a superficial thing, and I seem to have turned it down recently. So that's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to be a casual romantic. I don't really want just a one-off. It's a tough thing to want something casual but have standards. Because it's like, I could have some stuff. In New York, I was going back with some girls. But, yeah, there's this one girl from Trinidad. I owe her, I should hit her up and say what's up next time I have a little bit of money. She let me come over to her house. She cooked me dinner. She was so sweet. Some cultures are just fucking good women. Latin American cultures, they just want to wife you up and cook for you and just want you, they just want their man to be happy. This fucking girl, and she's cute. She's beautiful. She's not cute. A small little Trinidadian. And the smells, man, every girl smells different. Every culture smells different. The Caribbean girls smell different. The white girls smell different. She had a great personality. I don't know why smells are so important to me, but I could just smell a woman. I could smell one. This sounds weird. This is gonna weird some people out. You're reading my diary, so fuck you, right? But you could smell when a girl gets excited. I can smell, because I've tested it. I've been around a girl and we've shortly afterwards had sex, and I could kind of smell. You could see when a guy gets excited. You could see maybe it's a bulge or something. You can feel they're getting hard. You could kind of smell the girl getting wet if you're sensitive to it. I could smell a girl walking down the street. So if you hang around someone and you think you smell them, and we're not talking about like stank ass pussy, like, which isn't bad. Guys have smelly dicks too sometimes. Wash yourself. With a woman, actually, if you use soap and you wash yourself too much, you're gonna increase the smell because you have a natural. That's stuff that women have taught me out. No, I don't own one, so I don't know how to maintain one. But soap and douches and too many cleansers will throw you off. So there's a natural smell to you and a natural vibrance. But then there's that stuff that's like very, very strong and pungent, but in a bad way. So I'm talking about that natural sweet one, not that strong, bad, need yourself get checked out, because there's like I've been with like girls who had yeast infections and stuff, and this is getting gross descriptions, but like a pasty consistency. I know girls who taste themselves. They put their fingers in there and they taste, and they can kind of tell if they're good or bad. There's a pH level, and your pH level could get thrown off. The guy could throw you off. Having sex with girls and coming in a girl throws off their pH level a little bit. I think your semen is like basic, and it should be a little acidic. Acidic environments are good to ward off bacteria and infection. There's a reason why it tastes a little tart. When you're going down on a girl, it should taste a little tart. It should taste a little sour. Sour, a little bit acidic, I think is. Let me look that up. Our vagina's acidic. We're getting way off base. Well, Bella had 27 wives. So. A healthy vagina pH is acidic and ranges from pH of 3.5 to 4.5. So yeah, the fucking really hippy dippy chicks are like, let me dip the oil stick. 3.7, 3.8, I'm good. You know, the yogurt, putting yogurt in there sometimes. Don't just do it. Google, like, I don't like to say Google, but look it up online. And but there's stuff. So anyways, but there's also a smell I noticed different for girls and cultures. I don't like to say race, but like if your people come from a certain area and look like a certain type, race is so definitive. And all of these, like, what race do you call West Indian? You had like Indians coming over, you had Afro slave mix, you had indigenous mix. It's a culture now, but race would I think be disrespectful to how many inputs there are. What race am I? I'm white boy from Newport Beach on my dad's side, but his mom was Jewish. His father was Irish. So I'm a quarter Irish. Can't be Jewish because my mother's not Jewish. It's fucking. But they came from North Africa, but she looked white, light-skinned North African. My mom is Mexican, but she's light as fuck. My dad's darker than my mom. I think I get my tanning ability from my dad from my North African grandmother. So the Mexican side came from Spain, I think. Spains were conquered by the Moors. That might be where I get my Arabic nose. I'm pretty sure that our Spanish side was that's where some Arabic came in. So culture, Mexican culture, and also culture is the food and what you eat. And I think what you eat causes your smells and your other stuff. But yeah, smelling a girl, and then later on having sex with her, and then going down on her, and then be like, that's what that is. That's what that was. But there's a difference between that just being the pussy, the smell of the pussy, and the smell on the back of the head, back behind the ear. So the smell I'm talking about is that smell behind the ear, not perfume. The neck, when you cuddle with someone, there's a smell off their skin, off their sweat and armpit perspiration. That's what I'm saying, that the concentration is down there also in when a girl gets wet, in her fluids of excitability, if you will. I think that's a scientific term. But it's a concentrated form of what you get off her skin, off of that's what, like with Addie, I noticed it a lot. I'd sit in a car, borrow a car for something, I'd be like, I could just smell her. And that's why it's not just, yeah, that's why guys like sniffing panties and shit like that. Like, that shit is a sense, like, it actually, like, fucking, you shouldn't do it without someone's permission, but, did any girls give me panties? Those girls who went across country, but they weren't used. I didn't know them like that. I try not to, yeah. If you're in a relationship, though, and, like, girls really like your shirts, like, I've had multiple girls ask me, I'm a stinky dude. I smell like an animal, I'm sure. A lot of BO, a lot of perspiration, but after a while, people get used to your funk and ask, like, girls, like, oh, can I have a shirt? Use it as a pillowcase, and then they sleep with the pillowcase like they're sleeping on your chest. It's cute. But, I think girls have left me their panties or some shit. I know I've smelled, but no, it's just like being there, and then smelling. Anyways, why are we talking about smelling girls? We are because there was a point to this. Fella had all those girls. Sensitivity to women, and well, an approach to life. There we go. Non-standard sexuality, approach to life. That kind of, there's a connection. And then he has a 27 girls, so I'm like, that's cool. He's living an outgoing life, and when that same spirit and fella who, when he recognizes injustice in the government, I know we've done a lot of dirty shit. I was gonna look that up, actually. America's involvement in Nigeria. This is gonna be a fucking rabbit hole. Anyways, when he sees injustice and he's like, I gotta speak on it, and then they fucking attack him, almost kill him. Maybe he didn't kill him because he's an artist. They're like, all right, we fuck with your music, we won't kill you, but we'll get you that close to death. Throw his mom out of a fucking window, defenestrate his mom. Who does that? You know who else fucking lost their mom? MLK. MLK Jr.'s mom died. Why'd they fucking have to kill her mom? MLK Jr. mother. Alberta Williams King. She was shot and killed in church 6 years after the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. Her youngest child drowned in a pool, and then she was shot and killed. Oh, so she suffered a lot in her life. By Marcus Wayne Chenault, a 23-year-old black man from Ohio, who shot her with 2 pistols. You guys shoot an old lady with 2 pistols. He stated that he shot King because all Christians are my enemy, and claimed that he had decided the black ministers were a menace to black people. His original target had been Martin Luther King Jr., Sr., but decided to shoot his wife instead because she was close to him. That's fucked up. Is that just a random thing, or is that related to MLK? Because that's like almost motiveless. Like, you chose MLK's mom to shoot, almost. A case of, here we go, question everything. Yes, conspiracies. A case of religious fanatic going way too far, or COINTELPRO? On Sunday, June 30th, 1974, Alberta Christine Williams King played the Lord's Prayer, this is a lot of words, fired every round of his gun, hitting Alberta King, blah, 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 a lot of people. He was given the death sentence, later reduced to life in prison. His emotional effect after following the murder was unusual. Grinning, he asked if he had hit anyone. He had reportedly been dropped off at the church by people he knew in Ohio. Blah, 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 blah. His mentor left the area immediately after the shooting. Black Hebrew elite. He is one of many killers who is working to assassinate a long list of black leadership. The names he said on the list coincided with similar death lists distributed by the KKK and linked to the COINTELPRO operation in the 60s. Now, that's all you need. There you go. We got a link there. That's what. You know what I was thinking earlier this year, being a private investigator type, detective type. Maybe that's my skill set. I seem to like to investigate the truth and take my honor into my own keeping and be like, well, fuck it. Guess this is all on me, and maybe I'll build up as much of a personal defense as I can, but you walk through life as if it's the Wild West, and you plan accordingly, I guess. But yeah, that's enough of a lead for me to track down. This guy who killed Martin Luther King Jr.'s mom had admitted to a list of black leaders that he was going to kill. He had a mentor, he had a conditioning group, and that list coincides with a list by the KKK that was distributed by COINTELPRO. That fits. So that's, I'm not saying that's definitive, but that's something to chase down. There seems to be a strategy of U.S. intelligence operations distributes the list. They don't get their hands dirty, but they do the intelligence. That's what they did for the killing of Che Guevara. Didn't necessarily kill him, but they located him. What we did for the killing of Muammar Gaddafi, air support, and made sure that the rebels could get him. So that's what I was going to look up, but I think it would be a little bit more of a rabbit hole because I don't know much about Nigeria off the top of my head. Whether the U.S. intelligence provided the support to go after Fela. But that's what happens, isn't it? They threw his mom out the window, just shit like that. That's why I paused on that. Well, women, it's not just the sexual urge. I find it intriguing. If sex is sex, it's like an inch, you scratch it. It's like I'm about to make some chicken wings. Fucking gotta bulk up. I've gained about 7-10 pounds, probably 7 pounds over the last 3 weeks. Getting bigger. Whoa. Get my strength back. Once you have it, it's easier to get back. We'll do a shirt off by the end of this thing, maybe another week or two, and see if I've grown at all. But yeah, itch to scratch chicken wings. Sex is sex, but the women thing too is just it's not just about the women you pursue sexually, but like that's why that poem I have, a woman born when Caesar died, because I anticipate people already call me misogynist or you frame things in man, woman, sex, blah blah blah. It's like I was born of a woman. I got a mama. That's my first reason to defend women. And then I've had relationships, but your first woman is your mom. So guys, you'll always have that relationship. There's no relationship like the relationship with your mom. My mom was trying to give me some shit, and I was like, I've already been working on that. Don't even try to throw that at me. So I think Shah reminded me a lot of my mom. I think it's hard to avoid dating your mom. So I think Shah was that relationship, or a lot of how hanging out with my parents now, seeing how she communicates. I'm like, yeah, that first one I had was a lot like that. And she's a good woman. It's not like I don't want to date a woman with good qualities, but there's some blind spots there. Yeah. But you have to approach that. If you don't approach it, if you just hide from it, you say, oh, I'm not even going to talk about my relationship with my mother and how it affects my sexuality, you probably have a pretty big blind spot. It could lead to some funny things. I've seen a guy's relationship with his mom and his sexuality are very closely tied. I'm not really sure what their relationships are exactly because I'm still exploring it, but live honestly and sincerely, and you correct towards truth. I'd rather explore it and avoid some of the negativities that I see in my own mother's life as opposed to not explore it and then maybe date someone or marry someone that, I don't know if I believe in marriage. The more I think about the state, why would you involve them in your life? Well, Fela did it to protect these women. But see how there's a political motive. But yeah, just to know the reasons why you do things, what I'm doing this whole year, to explore yourself. The examine life is only life worth living, as some people say. So we talked a little about the music and even less about Bill Hicks, amazing comedian who died of cancer. Was that COINTELPRO? I don't know. He was very rabid against the government. The people who came out after him and stole his style, like all those angry comics who came out after him. What was his name? Who's an angry comic? Who has a funny looking face. He looks like a fucking ground. What's his name? Angry comic. Bill Hicks comics stealing style. Let's say Bill Hicks inspired comics. That was a little accusatory. He was on point. So I like comedy and I like people who are funny, but his social commentary was on point. I mean, he talks about tripping on acid and be like, maybe we're all just a collective of fucking, maybe we're just experiencing the universe experiencing itself. Like he had a way of like being like what he said, like how long does it have to take before you realize he's fucking you? Like, I like him. He brought back patriotism. Such a good man. Oh my God, what's that slap my ass? Someone's fucking me. He's fucking us. That's exactly the Trump pace, right? That's every conversation I've had with my parents since I've been living with them. I have to tone it down because it doesn't do an older person any good to get them riled up, and you have to realize their logical blind spots, and then you have to come at it at a more subtle way. You get older, there's different ways to have this discussion. We don't have to rile everyone up. There we go, 10 jokes. Yes, let's put them on here. This is Bill Hicks dying of cancer, so it's going to be good towards the end of his life.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're doing well tonight. I'm glad to be here. I've been on the road doing comedy now for 10 years, so bear with me while I plaster on a fake smile and plow through this shit one more time. It's easy and it's magic every show.
His sincerity. He's poking fun at the repeating.
And during that, we had this big war thing happen. I don't know if you caught any of that, but it was a very stressful time for me, the war. I'll tell you why. I was in the unenviable position of being for the war, but against the troops. And not the most popular stance I've ever taken on an issue in my life.
He says he was in the unenviable position of being for the war and against the troops. And that is opening up your mind in very subtle but profound ways, because if you reverse it, which from like when I was in high school, I would think like just a good way of determining truth is by quickly doing the opposite. So if someone says a platitude to you, says something that basically is meaningless, you can check whether it has meaning just by inversing it. And I would do that with people. They'd say, oh, I loved your presentation or something like that. It's like, would you tell me if you hated it though? Because like that's, if not, then this is just bullshit. So subtle truths more towards the center of the discussion probably have more meaning. And then and that's just balance of systems. Towards the center is where we find our peace and stability. And so poles, whether good or bad, are meaningless. So if someone's like, oh, effusive praise, it's like you probably wouldn't say the opposite. So that's Sometimes you would. And those are the people who, like, when they wield their word with dramatic force, where if they tell you something, they actually mean it, even if it's an extreme. So what he does is, I'm in the unenviable position to be for the war but against the troops. Because what usually people say at the time is, I'm against the war but I'm for the troops. Because it was a willful war of aggression. This is Desert War 1, not even 2. And people instinctively don't like war. We know it's a waste of national resources. It's a raid on the public treasury. This is after the savings and loan scandal. We don't trust these politicians, never really have. Every couple of years we see another example of them robbing our treasuries and cronyism and corruption and graft and greed, and which Trump, being such a clown, is taking our eye off the ball of the fact that all these guys who came before him were pretty bad, or even worse, he's just stupid enough to get caught in such a dramatic way. He's playing the role of scapegoat, historical scapegoat, like actual literal scapegoat. Put a goat, send it through town, everyone puts their sin on it, and later on you slaughter the goat. Now no one has any more sin because we put it on the goat. Later exemplified by the story of Christ, right? So that's Trump. Wow. Oh my gosh. He's a Christ figure in the modern ethos. That'd be a good angle. He would love that. I should Twitter him. So he says, for the war against the troops, because the opposite would be, well, I'm against the war, because you have to be for the troops. So now he has two indefensible positions, which makes it intriguing. How is he going to talk his way out of it?
I don't choose wisely always. And yet,
I don't choose wisely always.
So, first of all, this needs to be said. There never was a war.
How can you say that, Bill?
Well, a war is when two armies are fighting. So you see, right there, I think we can all agree. It wasn't exactly a war. And Bush, President Bush, a complete surprise, he turned into a demon man. When he was first president, they called him the wimp president. I mean, this was the cover of Newsweek. Wimp president. Apparently, this stuck in this guy's craw. Guy turned into a fucking demon man. We surrender. Not good enough.
So now he's, yeah, it's interesting how people construct their comic bits, but he's poking through the narrative, dominant narrative, and he leads with the fact that I'm going against everything, every way that this war has been framed. Those people don't last long in our society. Lenny Bruce did it with sex. And then Bill Hicks was going straight at politics, going against the dominant narrative in such a way. And like with this, Reagan, the great communicator, he's like, every fact points that he's a fascist cocksucking puppet. Every single fact, not a single fact to the contrary. He's daring you to look it up for yourself and check. All you have is image. And then at the very end, he goes after him for his supposed strength, his manhood. He's a movie star, and he's a virtuous white hat cowboy. And he says, well, Nancy and I say, well, like a man you must know, as John Wayne once said, might know as John Wayne. A man you might know as Jimmy Stewart. He's recognizing that these are just rhetorical devices. This isn't how a man of character talks. Why don't you just answer the question, you cocksucking or what do you say? Dickweed. But it's interesting because those emotional outbursts show you how elevated the presidency was even at that time. That was only 30 years ago. He had to say, he didn't have to say it, but Mr. President, sir. That's where the joke is. The joke, focus. Jokes play off of a contrast of expectations. Nowadays, Stephen Colbert, I never know how to say it. He says President Trump is Putin's cock holster. You're allowed to just make fun of the presidency with impunity. I don't care either way. It's just a fucking dude. That's what I love about this. This reminds me of the guy in the army who was tearing into our command, and I was walking by the hallway because I'm not in school because I was in trouble. He was like, you guys think that you're all that just because you have those fucking ribbons and shit on your fucking chest, you're nothing. He was basically using man's law of character. by saying, dude, we're in the system and it's the military, blah, blah, blah. But because I knew where he was from, because I made friends in Santa Cruz and I know it's a college town with some rough areas. And now there's gangster Mexican shit going on too. But like the local dudes aren't soft in the poor areas. And he was like a East Side guy. So he was like, people have gotten like knives pulled on them over in certain surf lanes. You go over and you try to surf where you're not supposed to, and people will fucking run you out of there. I guess that college energy where you have a lot of other people coming into your city and fucking around creates a little bit of resentment, and then it hardens certain people. And I hung out in the middle, but some areas I would go to were a little bit tougher. We got kicked out of a bar once, and one of our friends broke one of the windows, and then went running off, but like just fucking slammed his hand through the window and fucking cut his hand all up and shit like that. Well, no, it was very smart. One of our friends did that because they wouldn't let him in, and then his hand was all cut up, but he hid it, and then the other friend ran off. So when the bouncers came out, like, who did that? And we were fucking too drunk and stupid to even have left. We just sat around. We're like, and then so one of the friends ran off, so they ran off after him, and meanwhile the other friend's sitting right there hiding his hand's all fucking bloody. They wouldn't let us into the next bar because his hand won't stop bleeding. I think they let him in, but like we're drunk and stupid and we're trying to fucking put like toilet paper and shit on it. It ended the night early. He wouldn't stop bleeding for a minute. But just so this kid, he was from before I lived in Santa Cruz. But I recognized that he was just a fucking. He had I think scar on his face from fighting. You could just tell it's just people who've been through some shit. I think I lost a little bit of respect from him. I don't even know. We didn't really hang out. I was at a party and I hit on someone's girlfriend. She was trying to figure out my boundaries, and there's this girl I liked, and I was kind of hitting on her, but she had a boyfriend. And I kind of felt like a dirtbag. And like he was at that party too, and I was like, dude, that's a dude that I respected for like. Why was he at that party? Was that after he said that? I thought he got put away and he didn't. I'd have to think. This is like what, 15 years ago? 16 years ago. I was 19 and 20. 16, 17 years ago. But anyways, honor, respect, things that guys among guys think is important. The guys that I hang out with, having a word, character, not being the dude who just hits on everyone's girlfriends. You can, but you're a certain type of dude, and being like fella and having 27 girls is great if they're your girls, or if the girl, like, there's relationships out of the open. I've known dudes like that who are like, fucking have my girlfriend if you want, we're cool. But yeah, I'm pretty sure fella didn't step on toes of, hopefully, maybe he did step on toes of other men. It's kind of like a dirtbag thing to do. I've seen those guys. I've seen the older guys in their 50s that everyone's just like, yeah, that's just how they are. But there's this guy in Puerto Rico. My girl, Shah, she went down to live with me for a little bit. We're almost at Puerto Rico. This is before Puerto Rico. I'm making all these things, thinking about character, thinking about the world, making my little seeds of truth to cure me, because I'm realizing I'm so far out of the dominant culture. I need to find my wisdom somewhere, my people. Fela seems to be my people, even if I'm on the fence on whether I want to go the harem route or I want to settle down with someone. But yeah, in Puerto Rico, this one guy in his 50s, he was my boss a little bit once. So he knew me. I know him. I know his people. He knows my people. He's a good guy. Not malicious at all. But he will openly hit on every single person. As I get older, I kind of understand it. Back then, I was a little judgmental. Like, dude, these girls aren't even cute. But now as I get older and I'm more omnivorous, I'm like, there's a beauty to womanhood in general. I was just a judgmental little fucking asshole a lot. It's just because a girl is, like, not an Instagram model, perfectly fit girl. There's these beautiful, that's what it is. The more romantic you get, I think. When I was younger, I thought it was desperateness. But I've been with very, like, what society calls beautiful. And I still can, I think. The dancer girl is gorgeous. And I know these things that validate, all right, I know I can get that type of girl. But then you also just soften. And there's just this sexuality to womanhood in general, which in my case makes me feel like I don't have to be so superficial. It could be more about the connection, because there's this sex. How ugly people have great sex too. It's a joke, but it's like a funny pickup line. if you're talking to someone and you're feeling like there's chemistry, but maybe it's like it's not your type, or maybe she's a little bit out of your league. It's a funny thing to say. Ugly people have great sex too. But it's true. Old people have great sex too. Things aren't. There's this whole other realm you get into when you start seducing physically, where it's more about energy and the smells kick in and the touch kicks in and the sound kicks in, the sounds you're making, voluntarily or otherwise, right? And she But yeah, no. But this older dude, he told my girl. I wasn't on the island at the time, so I guess she wasn't my girl. But he knew that we were together, so it's a little bit of a, you don't do that with people. That's a line I wouldn't cross. Try to make sure before you go into those territories, because you might start a little cold war, a hot war or a cold one. But women and men and sexual interactions can start a lot of shit. And I've walked through certain lines to, you be aware more and more of those tripwires so you don't trip him. Because if you're doing this free love, like fella with this 27, just hopefully he was smart enough to check with the dudes in these girls' lives and make sure that you're not disrespecting people. People are looking out for people. And that might sound misogynistic to be like you have to check with the guys in their life. It's like, have you ever dealt with an angry brother or an angry father or an angry someone? Love for a family member, love for a significant other is a very strong tripwire to trip over. So you don't want to be on the wrong end of that. Even if you think, hey, I'm not doing anything wrong. Well, once the emotions are involved, it doesn't really matter. Honor and shit. But he was like, when are you going to spend a whole day with me? And she was like, oh, you. Because she was a dominatrix. She was used to guys being creepy on her. He was like, if not a whole day, then how about at least a night? Just stupid shit like that, cheesy ass shit. And then puts his hand on her leg, and yeah, she has to take it off. And she's like, he's giving her a ride home. But that's what he would do. He'd walk right up to the line of inappropriateness. I don't know how I feel about that. Because that dominatrix girl showed me that it's not like, some girls feel offended by that, but if the guy knows which girls to do it on, it's like, oh, this fucking dude. And then after a while, I know girls who he stops hitting on, because it's like, that door's closed. They made it very clear, but he doesn't stop being their friend. So as long as that's not the only basis for friendship, and that's how guys like me and other guys, how to be a man, how to be a good man. We look at other men. We model on each other. That's why I care about narratives. Our narratives are being corrupted in society right now. I read Barack Obama's book. He says, I asked her before I kissed her, and she tasted like chocolate. It's like, oh, some of us don't like to fucking ask. It doesn't mean that we're rapists. We just would rather it be fucking cool. Some of us don't like to look at our feet when we dance. You see Barack Obama dance? I'm not the best dancer, but fucking, I don't know. Is it true how you dance is how you fuck? I don't know. Some people try too hard to convey the fact that they have virtue, and they make sure to include the woman. It's like, there's a balance. There's a reason why women like fucking animal strong men. That's what the Republicans, not the fucking asshole leaders who are corrupt cronies, but I'm saying the base, who don't vibe with the Democrats' view of sexuality. I had this girl who, like, I kept asking her, why won't we hook up? I couldn't figure it out in Puerto Rico. And this is a good thing, because she's another one that fits better in the friend category. That girl would have we would have been bad for each other. And also, we probably wouldn't be friends. We're too fucking, if you hook up and then there's already too much ego. So we showered together. We did stupid shit, but we didn't. There's a reason why. There's sometimes she let me know the door was open. Sometimes I let her know the door was open, but we're too fucking, sometimes egos are like oil and water. But she's an interesting one. But I would ask her, like, I was pretty sure we should have, though. And I was asking her sometimes, why didn't we? She was like, oh, no. But then I figured it out, because she wanted to be grabbed and taken, and I'll be overt, but I feel kind of uncomfortable being too overt. And that was her. She really, and which may be trauma, or maybe that's just her. I don't want to just say everyone whose sexuality I don't agree with or don't understand is traumatized, because it's kind of rude. But I was hanging around with me, her, and a Puerto Rican dude. And the dudes I knew down there knew how to fucking throw that switch. Maybe that's something I need more practice in. I could get aggressive, I guess. But we were all hanging out, and then there was at one point when the dude, I guess I thought that was one of the times when I was pretty sure they were gonna hook up, and I was just hanging out anyways. We were smoking, but it was still up in the air if like they were gonna hook up or if I stayed over. I guess we weren't gonna hook up. I was gonna stay over, but if they were gonna hook up, I was gonna bounce. It was at her place, and then at one point he just grabs her and kind of like pulls her into a room. I was like, that's. And I think I told her the next day. I was like, you just like to like just be like, just grabbed, right? She was like, yeah, that's my thing. Like just kind of like, she just kind of like she doesn't. But now this bitch right here, she didn't like to use hands during sex. She had all these little rules. She tried to cover herself up and fucking not show like the stretch marks and shit. So I was like, all right. She likes a guy to just take total control, but she has her own thing. So it's not like I want to like. That's what you have to realize. A woman, if you just follow her lead, or like that's following a woman's lead. If you're like, all right, she wants me to dominate, so I'm just next time I want sex, I'm just gonna grab her and just throw her on the bed. And even if she's cool with it, she's like, oh, and it's like you, like when a girl wants you to choke her, and I'm like, but I don't know if I want to become the choking dude, because then I'm gonna like it a lot, and then now when someone else doesn't want to be choked, I'll be trying to talk them into it. Now we're just like. And it might just be because you're like traumatized when you're young, and now you're instead dealing with that trauma, you just sexualize the trauma in order to turn it into something that you have control over. There's all these psychological reasons. So I try not to just do shit because it seems like it's what the girl wants, but like think about what I want, retain that sense of self and that balance. Who knows what happened in fella's life to make it so. Well, I really trust female energy. So if he's under attack by the government and then his fucking mama gets defenestrated, which is the official term for being thrown out the window, then yeah, maybe that's his safest fucking feeling. A cocoon of 12 women at all times around him. It's not just for the sex. All sexuality is way beyond sex. You have sex for what, 7 minutes, 10 minutes? Every now and then you have like marathons, but like for the most part, you're just trying to get off within a nice like maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, what are we? We're athletes. Come on. You fucking wake up and you just, yeah, the girl's getting sore. It's fucking, there's only so much. I need to drink some liquids. We're running out of fluid. But yeah, we could lay around and foreplay before and afterwards. You can have a really long romp, but a lot more time talking, a lot more time cuddling, a lot more time anticipating the before and the after. And isn't that how you live a good life? Is enjoying the whole experience. The look on the street, the first conversation, the opening up of possibilities, the realizing of mutual interest, that whiff of a smell, the pheromones. Maybe that's what I'm talking about. That comes off the skin and everything, but it's a distinctive. I'll be at a coffee shop and a girl will walk by. She's on the street. I'm inside through the open window. I'm like, yeah, I've been trying to follow that more. If I get that feeling, that smell, or that, whether it's pheromones or whether it's something, but I've been trying to like, all right, if there's a chance to chasing girls down the street, smelling them. How close can you get from being open sexuality to being a creep? Let's walk right up to that line, right? I don't know. Just there's no reason to make anyone feel uncomfortable. You don't have an excuse to do that or to offend anyone. Hicks was getting more open about his sexuality too. People who are honestly looking at life, that's the reward. It's not just the reward of the peace of mind of, well, there's a lot of rewards to trying to live an honorable life. But one of them is the companionship reward. Over and over again in my life, it's proven that women have the women that I like to have around, have an intuitive sense of honor and integrity like dogs. If you own a dog and they immediately know when someone's a bad person or when they beat people or their intentions. And I check how dogs treat me too, someone's dog. Because that also showing me the intentions of the owner. The owner is nice to you, but the dog's kind of funny to you. The dog's following the lead of the owner. So it's like, I know how I am and I know who I am. So it's like, if a dog's funny with me, and I know usually like animals are cool with me, look at the person. It's like the person's smiling at you, but there's some different energy going on. Women have that. Men have something too, but what I recognize in women is different. It's because I'm not a woman. We're all, well, that is a belief that is. People have a lot of opinions about. But this isn't people. This is Shaz talking. And the wisdom he's learned from Fella, from Hicks, from Mose. And then going over it now. Knead in the dough. Fold it over, let it rise. We need it a little bit more. Another hour. I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to cook that chicken wings. Put on some more weight. And then come back for another one of these. First thing in life. you have to realize, though, is to have no fear. Got to understand this.